everyone, welcome to Learning Literature with Purba. In today's video, we are going to talk about intentional fallacy and affective fallacy. These are the terms associated with new criticism and they're coined by William.K.Wimsatt and Monroe.C.Beardsley. So if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, then do subscribe to it and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. So before we talk about intentional fallacy and affective fallacy, let's take a look at new criticism. So new criticism emerged in America. It was the new way of critiquing literary works. That is why it was called new criticism. And new criticism focused on close reading of the text. So the new critics believed that the historical background of the author, the society and culture during which the author wrote, the personal life story of the author's own background, biography, nothing matters. The reader's reaction to the text does not matter. The only thing that matters is the text alone. So only the text matters. And therefore, another term associated with new criticism is Autotelic Text. The new critics believed that the text is complete in itself. It is a unified identity. Every text is complete in itself. We do not need to refer to the historical background of the author's life story, the reader's reactions, the cultural conditions. Nothing matters, only the text matters. And therefore, the new critics focused on close reading of the text. William.K.Wimsatt and Monroe.C.Beardsley were two American literary critics. Their most important work is The Verbal Icon, Studies in the Meaning of Poetry, where we have the famous essays, The Intentional Fallacy and the Affective Fallacy. So let's first take a look at the intentional fallacy. Now the word fallacy means mistaken belief or false reasoning. The critic should never try to find the intention of the poet behind writing a particular poem. If there is any intention, it is there in the poem itself. The critic should not try to investigate the author's life story or other personal clues in order to try to find out the intention of the poet behind writing a particular poem. So the belief that there is an intention in the mind of the poet while writing a poem and that it is the critic's job to find out that intention is actually a fallacy. It is a mistaken belief. It is not possible to find out the intention of the author behind writing a particular work. Because if the author is not alive, then it is impossible to find out what was the intention. Because if we try to think why Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales, we can never find out the real intention of Chaucer. We can only guess that this can be the intention of Chaucer. But these will only be guesses at the end of the day. And if the author is alive, then even by taking interviews, a critic can never be sure that the author is telling the truth, that the author is revealing his or her true intention behind writing a particular work. Therefore, the critic should not waste time by reading the personal life story of the author and trying to figure out what was the intention of the author behind writing a particular work. It is a waste of time and it is not the job of the critic. Wimsatt and Beardsley believed that the life story of the author should be of interest to the historian, not to a literary critic. Wimsatt and Beardsley also believed that the feelings and sentiments expressed in the poem should not be attributed to the poet but should be attributed to the speaker or the narrator. For example, Coleridge wrote The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, But we should not say that everything that is written in the poem, they are Coleridge's personal feelings and sentiments. No, we should say that these are the feelings and sentiments of the speaker of the poem. So that is what Wimsatt and Beardsley meant by intentional fallacy, that the belief that there is an intention in the mind of the poet while writing a poem, and that it is the critic's job to figure out that intention is a fallacy. The intention, if there is there in the text itself, the critic should not read the author's personal life story and try to find out what was the intention of the author behind writing a particular work. Now we will look at the next term, affective fallacy. Sometimes readers get very much emotional while reading a particular poem or a novel. The readers get emotionally affected, they get moved to tears even while reading a novel or a poem. Wimsatt and Beardsley said that just because some readers are getting emotionally affected by a particular work, that does not mean it is a great work of literature. The value of a literary work should never be confused by the emotional effect that it is arousing in readers. Just because readers are getting affected by the work emotionally, that does not mean it is a great literary work. So that is what Wimsatt and Beardsley meant by affective fallacy, because they said that the reader's own mood and life experiences have a lot to do with how the reader is reacting to a particular novel or a particular poem. It has nothing to do with the text or the quality of the literary work. And therefore, how the reader is getting affected emotionally to a particular literary work does not mean that it is a great work of literature. And that is what Wimsatt and Beardsley meant by affective fallacy. So they said that the text is independent of the author and the reader. The text is autotelic, it is an unified identity, it is complete in itself. It is not dependent on the author's intention, it is not dependent on how a reader is reacting while reading the literary work. So that was all for today's video, where we looked at these two concepts, intentional fallacy and affective fallacy, given by Wimsatt and Beardsley. We also looked at new criticism, what is autotelic text, and the importance of close reading. I'll be back very soon with a new video on a literary work or a literary theory. Now, I was absent for quite some time, and that is because I was tested COVID positive. I was not well. I was having a lot of post-COVID cough, and that is why I was not present for 1 month here in the channel. And I missed all of you. Thank you so much for hanging on. And now I will be quite regular with the videos. Thank you so much. Do stay connected on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you so much for watching.